How much input did you have on The Tonight Show and through these other shows with guests, booking guests? Obviously, there's someone that books
Complete
guests, but
control. It was always very important to me that we booked guests for the right reasons. My reason was, are they a good guest or a bad guest? Most talk shows book guests based on their being in the #1 movie or the #1 record, whether they're good guests or not. I never believed in that. To me, the question was, are they likable? Are they good guests? And I will watch my television viewing is basically watching talk shows and interview shows to protect myself from the bookers talking me into booking somebody who's really a terrible guest. And again, I've been lucky in that I've worked on shows where we didn't have to book the #1 hot, popular thing. I did it to my standards, and it worked for me.
so what do you consider a good guest? And are you looking at the chemistry you think will be
But
there?
chemistry is important, but likability is important. If you have some young little Fox network sitcom actress who hasn't had any experience in life, because she's 18 years old, chances are I won't book that guest because they don't have anything to say. The last thing you want is some dopey little kid telling you about the world situation as she sees it. Nobody wants to hear that. So likability is #1. Do you like that person? And you can tell really in the first 30 to 60 seconds whether you're going to accept that person, or whether they are completely fake, or whether they have an attitude. And all of those things I take into consideration. Does that person have something interesting to say? Do you care about that person? Or are they off-putting? And I'm very fussy about that.
And can you talk a little bit about sexual tension between a host and a guest?
Well, the first time I really paid a lot of attention to that was when Burt Reynolds guest hosted for the first time. We had become friends when he guested. And at that time, he was actually #1 box office star in movies. So when I booked him to guest host for the first time, I said to him, let's try and figure out what guests we should book on your first show. Mind you, on the Carson show, we had guest hosts every week. So you can die with a guest host because they have never done it before and they don't know how hard it is. It's really, really hard. And there are many people that I booked as guest hosts that were panicked once the red light came on. Either movie stars or television stars, you just assumed that they had enough of a personality to carry themselves for an hour. But as opposed to Saturday Night Live, where the guest host is in a written sketch, here they have to be themselves. And and lead the interviews. So one of the problems when you're booking guests for a guest host is they want to book all their friends. And that surely gives them a comfort level, but it becomes very inside. It's all of a sudden the two people talking, and the viewers are really left out in the cold. So yes, to some degree, you give them one person maybe that they can feel secure with, but you generally discourage booking friends. But at that time, Bert was newly divorced from Judy Carn, who was one of the stars on Laugh-In. And I said, what's your relationship like with her? Are you friends, or was this all? And he said, no, we're still friends. And I said, you know what, I'd love to bring her on as a guest. And at the end of the show, I want everyone in the audience to feel like the two of you might get back together again. And he said, yeah, I can do that. And it worked great. And the studio audience wouldn't leave even when the show was over, because there was such electricity between the two and so much flirtation that everyone really thought, oh my God, they're going to get back together. Well, I couldn't have been more thrilled, because that's what I was aiming for. So ever since then, I love to try and find people where there is sexual tension between the host and the guest, because you just watch it with your mouth open. Wow, these two really like each other. And we've done it many times with Craig Ferguson, because women really fall in love with him and sometimes flirt outrageously with him, and sometimes it gets him involved, and it makes for very good television.